You know, it's been a fun, exciting day so far. ADA actually reaching the highest prices we have seen since the middle of June. Nice to see that progress take place in the last month after times have been so boring. And right now we're fighting against some pretty important levels where things can in fact open up above. And I do want to talk about that in this video, but I also want to reference actually something that is historically tracking for ADA. Do need to reference actually a projection from Discover Crypto. And we actually need to talk about this big whale that has been betting in a huge way on the market that has closed their position in profit 15 straight times. Do they know what is going to happen next? All that and more in this video. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So yes, ADA hitting those high prices we have not seen since the middle of June. We did actually breach 62 cents today. And again, hopefully this is something that continues as the day progresses. Right now, it's still pretty early on in the day, about 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm actually going to be heading with the family to a water park, so won't be watching much of the charts, but wanted to cover some of this stuff with you guys because this 62-cent level is what we've been talking about last week, what we had been talking about this week. And now what we finally did was we liquidated all those shorts on the way up to 62 cents. That's what we were talking about, right? Now, what I will say here is there is still a lot of short leverage above these ranges. All right. Basically between here and 64 cents is kind of an area we need to break through, and above there kind of opens up a bit. There is less in the order books there. There's thinner liquidity. You can see ADA go on runs towards 70 cents very easily. But what I will say is that there's still a lot of fuel for us to make some upside moves. You guys can see still a lot of short leverage above these ranges. Not saying there isn't longs down below here. Just be aware there's still longs at about 57 cents or so. There's a thick concentration there. So if things tip and move the opposite way, there's obviously always downside potential. But, you know, as the confidence sets in the market, you could see us try to push through some of these short positions. You could see more liquidations take place. You could see them try to catch, we'll call it a rising, instead of trying to catch a falling knife, a rising rocket, right? So that's what we're fighting against right now. Now, what I will say too, is that we're doing something that we did last market cycle. Now, we've been watching this very closely. We referenced it a bunch of times recently, and this is actually the ADA dominance chart. If we remember all the way back last cycle, we were going on this correction, this retracement. We were building this formation and waiting for our massive bounce versus the crypto market. And we finally got this once we hit basically January of 2021. And we've been building this same formation and tracking this same formation for quite some time. And what we've now seen is a little bit of burst in terms of ADA dominance. We've surged from this bottom of basically 0.6% now to 0.65%. We're obviously still quite a ways down from the 1% that we were seeing earlier on this market cycle. But what I will say is that we're again, one, tracking history, but two, we're actually at some points where it's suggesting we have some rallies ahead. For example, I know I've referenced stochastic RSI a lot, but when we look at this weekly chart in the ADA dominance here, you guys can see this bullish flip taking place, and this has led us on some very nice extensions. Not always, but for example, take a look back here. We had this bullish flip, bullish cross. This is what led us on our rally to surge all the way back up to, 1.35% dominance in the crypto market back in March. All right. We saw this bullish flip back here at the start of November, which ran us from basically all the way down to this 0.5% dominance, all the way up to 1.35% dominance, right? And so on and so forth. We've seen these bullish flips and extensions many times before. And the question is this the big one? Is this the one that actually causes us to surge past 2% for the first time since all the way back here in March of 2022? Maybe. Again, like we've referenced in a lot of other charts, it's showing a lot of those things. And it's a question of, is there enough retail confidence? Can we just finally get this train rolling? Can we get into some adoption? And we'll wait and see, obviously, how this progresses as the day and the week moves on. We have a lot of positive things still this week, potentially. We have next week, which again is crypto week. So we'll see what comes. Now, I will say that there is actually some exciting projections from Discover Crypto that were posted this morning. And what this actually shows is ADA at $9 and XRP at $7. Now, guys, when we look back at this top 10, my projections for this market cycle in terms of market cap, not a lot in here has really changed, to be honest with you guys, at least as of right now. And the reason why I'm saying that is it's looking like this is going to be an extended market cycle. We haven't seen adoption taking place yet. And what that means is that there's going to be a lot of shakeups as time progresses. We obviously had ADA at about a $500 billion market cap. Again, I've said somewhere between $7 to $15 ADA would make a lot of sense. So probably somewhere in that $300 billion to $500 billion range would make sense. And in fact, we're looking at Discover Crypto's projections, a $9 ADA. That's about a $320 billion market cap. So that kind of tracks, right? XRP, obviously I cover here on the channel as well. I'm going to try to get an XRP video out today. May even come out before this, but $300 billion market cap. Again, I talked about potentially raising that to $500 billion just because there is such progress being made within the Ripple ecosystem right now, the XRP Ledger ecosystem. So this could in fact be where things are headed. All right. Now, again, there's no guarantees or financial advice or anything like that. And the big wild card that people aren't expecting, but they should be expecting is, again, retail interest is typically what drives ADA to some insane highs. It tends to be a favorite of retail, like we talked about yesterday. And that's the big thing that we have had little bursts of in this market cycle. We saw it in November. We saw it in, basically February into March of 2024. Apart from that, retail adoption hasn't really been going on a lot. So people are making some pretty wild judgment calls of, ADA underperformance and saying it's bad off of times that aren't even the norm in the crypto market. So that's what I'll say there. Now, that being said, right now, we have some pretty big people betting on the crypto market in general. In fact, there's this whale that opened up a $150 million Bitcoin long with 40x leverage. They closed their last 15 trades in profits only. Does this mean we're getting ready for some big rallies moving forward? Maybe. Again, I'm trying to be non-committal about where things are headed because we have seen this many times before where we've gotten these breakouts and we've come back down and we've retraced and all these different things, right? Something I actually forgot to mention in the ADA chart, guys, here, this 20 week moving average is pretty important resistance for us. It's 0.77%, which would obviously be a very nice move in terms of ADA. That would be breaking a lot of these moving averages. Actually, that would be a bigger extended breakout for ADA. And actually, that's been a kind of our focal point of resistance along the way here. But what I will say is that, again, don't get sucked in too much. We still have some headway. We still need to see if we're going to breach this PTSD finally, and if we can finally have retail come together to move the markets. I was talking with a viewer about this in a comment yesterday. They said that retail doesn't move markets. They do, but retail has to move together. Think about the GameStop short squeeze, right? The AMC short squeeze. Think about a lot of these times that we've actually had extended rallies. Some of it's had to do with, leverage liquidations, but a lot of it is having retail have the same mindset. Here in 2025, that's been very difficult to come by. And it's because sentiment has been such garbage. People have been so reactionary and scorned by, black swan events and big liquidation events and tariff news and all these things that they just can't get on the same page. And now it's starting to feel like we're getting a little bit more consistency from retail. And does it have enough to turn into some big extended rallies? So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I did want to show you guys too. I did actually open up an ADA long the other day. I think yesterday it actually was. Right now it's up about 64%. I opened up a SHIB long this morning as well. And again, if you guys do want to check out BTCC or Margex, there are referral links in the description below. You can earn up to $10,000 in deposit and trading bonuses. So appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Let me know your thoughts below about where we're headed, but I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.